Okay, here we go with day 2. Today we're going to be looking at angle proofs instead of segment proofs or algebraic proofs. So to start with, all right, so given that angle 1 and angle 2 form a linear pair. We know this because there's a line and then there's a ray. We're not really proving anything, we're just going to get into the idea of setting up a proof. So for the first thing we state, angle 1 and angle 2 form a linear pair because it's given. Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. We know this because it's the definition of a linear pair. Angle 1, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180, and we know this looking at the previous statement because it's the definition of supplementary. So just know that you always use the previous to get to the next, and then your reason is what did you do to get there. Okay, given, we have two angles, and they're telling us that they're complementary. So angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary angles. That is given. So the next thing we would state would be that angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90. And I know that because the definition of complementary angles. Okay, and they have something else they're going to prove. Who knows? Okay, given, they didn't really give us anything, so I kind of added some things in here. Given, lines L and M intersect. And proving who knows what, but just to kind of get you going. So the very first statement would be lines L and M intersect because they're given. Whatever number 2, angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles. Vertical angles are formed by intersecting lines. And the next thing I could state would be that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because it's the definition of vertical angles. So depending on where you are in the proof, you can come up with different things. All right, number 4. They're giving us that line M and line N are perpendicular lines. So that is my given. So the next thing I would state would be, well, I know if lines are perpendicular, I know that they make a right angle. So I would say angle 1 is a right angle. And I know this why? Because it's the definition of perpendicular lines. When lines intersect and they're perpendicular, they form a right angle. That's why I can state that. From angle 1 is a right angle, I can say angle 1 is 90 degrees because that's the definition of a right angle. Given ray CE is the angle bisector of angle ACD. So knowing that it's the angle bisector, I can make the congruent marks showing that those two angles are congruent. So since it's the angle bisector, because it's given, then my next thing I could say is angle ACE is congruent to angle ECD because it's the definition of an angle bisector. And then from there you could go on to prove whatever they wanted you to prove. All right. This one is a complete one from start to finish, 6 steps. So the first thing we start out with is angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles. Given. Angle 1 and angle 3 form a linear pair. Angle 2 and angle 3 form a linear pair because adjacent angles form a line. If 1 and 3 form a linear pair and 2 and 3 form a linear pair, then it's safe to say that angle 1 and angle 3 form supplementary angles, as do angle 2 and angle 3. And I know this because, looking at the previous one, because that's the definition of a linear pair. Okay, so if angle 1 and angle 3 form supplementary angles, then I know angle 1 plus angle 3 equals 180. Just like I know that angle 2 plus angle 3 make 180. And I can state this safely because that's the definition of supplementary angles. Well, if angle 1 plus angle 3 is 180, and angle 2 plus angle 3 is 180, if they're both equal to 180, then aren't they equal to each other? So angle 1 plus angle 3 equals angle 2 plus angle 3 by substitution. So I'm going to drop the 180 and replace it with that. Now, if 1 plus 3 equals 2 plus 3, what would happen if I subtracted the 3's? I would just have angle 1 and angle 2 by subtraction. So angle 1 equals angle 2. All right, last one. Angle 1 and angle 3 are complementary, so these two are complementary. Angle 2 and angle 3 are also complementary. So we're going to prove that angle 1 and angle 2 are equal. So starting with our statements, we're always going to start with what's given. So because they're complementary, that means angle 1 plus angle 3 equals 90, and angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 90, because it's the definition of complementary angles. If they're both equal to 90, then aren't they equal to each other? So angle 1 plus angle 3 equals angle 2 plus angle 3, because it's substitution. So I'm going to replace it with the 90. If angle 1 plus angle 3 equals angle 2 plus angle 3, what would happen if I ditched the angle 3's? Well, then I would have angle 1 equals angle 2 by subtraction, because I'm going to subtract it. Well, remember hats on, hats off? Well, if the measures are equal, then the angles are congruent, and that's going to be by definition of congruent angles, just like the definition of congruent segments. So the end, and I will see you guys next week. Have a good one.